Be yourself, be positive. Just another mindset.
Hello, friends, and welcome to a new episode of the Just Another Mindset podcast, the show that inspires you to change and live a more exciting life. My name is Ismael, and each week I bring to you a relevant conversation, theme, or topic that will not only entertain you, but that will help you to change towards a more meaningful and satisfying life, individually and collectively. Let us get inspired and embrace collective changes for the better. In today's episode, we want to talk about self-confidence. So why should you care? And why should you listen to today's episode about self-confidence? If you are self-confident, you can overcome the fear of failure and start pursuing your dreams. Being confident about yourself, without bragging about yourself, will make you do better things, and more of them. You, and only you, can take control of your life and make things happen. And a healthy amount of self-confidence will help you tremendously. So what are the main takeaways of today's episode? If you believe that you are not very competent or smart or attractive, that's something that can be changed. You are someone worthy of respect, and you are someone who is able to pursue your dreams, regardless the naysaying of others. You can take control of your life, and a good amount of self-confidence will help you to experience a more exciting life. For today's episode, there is no particular authors of books or articles that I would like to mention here. But obviously, there's a lot of sources on the internet where you can find different tips and tricks and tools on how to boost your self-confidence. And this is really something that we want to discuss in today's episode as well. I will try to keep it as brief as possible, and I hope that you get some value from a short overview of tips and tricks that I use and that I know that friends of mine are using to work on their self-confidence. But before we talk about how to get better with your self-confidence, why don't we define the term of self-confidence and what it actually means? So what is self-confidence? For me, there is three things that come to mind when talking about self-confidence. The first being self-esteem, another one being self-efficacy, and the third one being self-confidence. But where do they overlap, and are they mutually exclusive? For me, self-esteem emphasizes someone's feelings about herself. Self-efficacy emphasizes the degree to which somebody believes that she can do something. And finally, self-confidence is the acceptance of the whole self of yourself and the way that you behave in this world because of it. It's the confidence in oneself and one's abilities and powers, and it's the opposite of self-doubt. And for me, self-confidence includes both thinking and doing. So now that you hopefully got a better understanding of what I understand with self-confidence, let's take a look of why self-confidence is so important in our lives. The first benefit of being self-confident is that studies clearly show and indicate that people being confident usually live a healthier and longer life. The second one, and that's quite obvious, but still, is that confident people are less likely to do things that they don't want to do. And they are more likely to do the things that they really strive for. If you're self-confident, you will feel more secure in your ability to take decisions. And if the outcome is not exactly what you wanted, you are more likely to be able to adapt and deal with the new circumstances. So confidence also really helps with resilience. It helps you to put failure into perspective. Confident people are less dependent on others for their approval and their assurance, and confident people are also likely to have more healthy boundaries to other people and in relationships. Confident people are often good communicators, and that is a skill that will help you in so many different situations in your life. And confident people give off the impression that they know what they are doing and are therefore more trustworthy and inspiring to others. Confidence can motivate you. It will help you to be more proud of the things that you've accomplished in the past, and it most likely can also help you to look forward to the things that are coming in life. Also, confidence helps you to shield away from the inner negative self-talk that tells you you cannot do this or you should give up. It basically turns it around and helps you to understand that you should in fact do this and that you should in fact pursue your dreams. Being confident therefore starts with your mindset. So now that we understood why self-confidence is so important, let's take a look at a few benefits of self-confidence. All those benefits can be unlocked by using the tools and techniques that will be discussed later on this podcast. And of course, I'm more than happy to hear from you if you have additional tools and techniques to boost your self-confidence, and if you have some experience that you want to share with the community as in how to improve your self-confidence and how to live a more exciting life with it. Self-confidence basically means that even if there's things that you don't like about yourself, you still love yourself as a whole. So the first benefit of self-confidence is the awareness of your strength and your limitations, and knowing how to use both to live a happy life. The second benefit is that self-confidence is the acceptance of one's own faults. And it also is the acceptance that perfectionism neither is desirable nor possible. Being self-confident can give you a feeling of being complete and a sense of inner peace. Self-confidence can be the experience of the balance of your strengths and weaknesses, and it's the ability to create and experience happiness in life. So there's a lot of reasons to be self-confident and a lot of benefits that you can reap from it. And in today's episode, I want to share a few tips and techniques that have worked for me and that have worked for people in my network that can boost your self-confidence. And I'm again more than happy to hear back from you if you have more techniques that you would want to share with the community, or if there is things that I didn't consider in my episode today and that you would like to share with the audience. In fact, when writing down my thoughts for this very episode on self-confidence, I thought I should come up with a nice number of ways on how to build and nurture your self-confidence. A number that is easy to remember, like a 5, like a 7, like maybe an 11. But after all, after putting together all my notes, I had 16 ways on how to build and nurture your self-confidence. And to be honest, I don't really care about the number so much. And therefore, I want to present you the 16 ways on how to build and nurture your self-esteem. 16 might sound lengthy and might sound long, but I promise to do my very best to keep it brief and short and to create as much value as possible for all of you out there. So I ask you to stick with me and to enjoy and hopefully learn something from today's episode. The first way to build and nurture self-confidence is get to know yourself. Those who listen and watch more frequently to this video podcast know that I talk a lot about reflection and clarity. The first thing that you want to do is to understand yourself better. Write down things that you are good at. Start writing a journal about yourself and about the thoughts you have about yourself. And think about the good things about yourself, the things you do well, and the things that you can share with others. The second way is to acknowledge your talents and your strengths. We had a full episode on talents and strength and how to identify them earlier with Justin Douglas, and you're more than invited to tune in and to listen to it separately if you haven't done so. But what's most important is that you figure out for yourself what your talents and what your strengths are. So first of all, write down what you're passionate about. What are people telling you that you are particularly good at? And maybe make an assessment in order to figure out what your talents are and what is the strength that you can work on. The third way of building and nurturing self-confidence is to stop the negative self-talk and turn it around into positive self-talk. Every one of us talks to themselves things like, I cannot do this, this is too hard, I shouldn't even start this. And you should start turning this around and stopping the negative self-talk. In fact, use positive self-talk for your benefit. Start telling yourself what you did well and why you should try this and that, why you should experiment with new things, and why you are good at a certain particular activity. And you can do that even for small achievements. If you manage to put a 5-minute meditation into your daily routine, if you manage to do exercise now every day, even if it's only for a few minutes, or if you implemented any other healthy habit, even if it's a small one. The fourth one is to think positive. And again, it's about turning things around and focusing on what you are capable of instead of what you are lacking. And that is nicely linked to number 5, which is act positive. More than just thinking positive, you have to put things into action. Start acting. Action actually is the key to create self-confidence. It's one thing to think positive, but if you start acting, you will start changing yourself one action at a time. And the benefits for yourself are tremendous. After all, you are what you do. So if you change what you do, you will change who you are. And that, hopefully, for the better. Another way to build and nurture self-confidence is to be kind and be generous. Being kind to others and being aware of how much time and how much effort you give for other people has the capability to change your self-image drastically towards the better. The 7th hint I have for you is to speak slowly. If you speak slowly, it shows the audience that you have authority and that you have confidence, that you in fact know what you are talking about. A person who feels that he is not worth listening to will speak very fast, because she doesn't want to keep others waiting for something not worthy listening to. So if you speak slowly and clearly, you show your audience that you are confident about what you're talking about, and that you are confident that you can help others by sharing the information that you have within you. Number 8, and that's quite obvious, but still worth mentioning, I believe, is to become more competent in a particular topic and to empower yourself by knowledge. Because after all, how do you feel more competent on a particular topic? By becoming more competent on a particular topic. And how do you do that? By studying and by practicing. You can start with small bits and pieces. The more you practice, the more you learn, the more competent you will get, and the more self-confidence you will get about your competence in a particular area of life. One story that comes to mind when talking about studying and practice and self-confidence is this very podcast. In the very beginning, the first solo episodes were super tough for myself. Even though I have done tons of presentations for management levels, for C-levels even, about all different kinds of topics, it's a completely different environment to be alone by myself, to be and talk to this particular phone I'm looking at this moment, and to still feel confident about it. To be honest, in the very beginning of this podcast, of this video podcast, it wasn't so easy for me to just be confident about the topics that I'm talking about. But the more I practice, the more I learn, the more episodes I do, and I've done a few by now, the more confident I feel that what I say is also worth listening for you. And what helps is really the feedback I get from you guys. The more I practice, the more I do, the more feedback I get from you. And this feedback helps me to understand that you value this content. So I want to say a quick thank you for those of you reaching out, for those of you telling me that it's worthy for you listening to this podcast and that you take something home. In the very beginning, I did not know if anybody would take any benefit from it, if anyone would have any value from listening to this podcast. Just by practicing, by studying, and by doing, I became more competent. And by now, and it's far from being perfect, I feel much more chill about recording a solo episode and by talking into a small camera, pretending that you guys are around and knowing that you take value from this episode. Again, a small thank you, and this was just a side note that came to mind when talking about this particular topic of self-confidence and studying and putting things into practice. Way number 9 to build and nurture self-confidence is to set a small goal and to achieve it. So set a goal that you know you can achieve, then achieve it, and you will feel good about it. Now, set another small goal and achieve that, and repeat that process multiple times. You will feel good about yourself. And eventually, the small goals are not so small anymore. You can choose bigger goals and you can choose shorter time intervals. Play around and find what works for you, but make sure that some of the goals that you set are actually achievable and that you do not get disappointed by setting only too ambitious goals and not achieving them. And that links wonderfully with way number 10. Which is to implement a small habit. Waking up 10 minutes early, drinking a glass of water once you woke up, or keeping a 2-minute daily journal. You can really choose a small habit that would be beneficial for yourself and implement it. If you see that you are capable of implementing something that is beneficial for yourself, it will help you to feel better about yourself. And it will help you to boost your self-confidence. And eventually it will also help you to implement bigger habits into your life that will help you and that will benefit you even more. And I would be super excited to hear from you which small habits you use in order to build self-confidence. As you know, this format really lives from your feedback, from your comments, from your private messages. So feel free to leave a comment or to send me a private message which small habit you implemented and what did it do to your self-confidence. Number 11 is to focus on solutions. Focusing on solutions instead of on problems is one of the most beneficial things you can do for yourself, for your career, and for your whole life. Ask yourself, what is it that you can bring to the table? Focus on your strength and not your limitations. And this is true for yourself, but this is also true for a group environment and for your relationships. Focus on what you as a team are good at. Focus on what you as a couple, as a group of friends, or as a family can achieve. And do not focus on problems too much. Really focus on solutions and focus on positive thinking. And yet, and that's the 12th way to build and nurture self-confidence, is to avoid perfectionism. Perfectionism will only paralyze you and keep you away from accomplishing the goals that you set for yourself. If you feel that everything has to be done perfectly, you will never be really happy with yourself and with the circumstances that surround you. So stop being a perfectionist and start acting more. Start failing, start experimenting, and start figuring out whether or not this is something that works. Doing something perfect is something that doesn't exist. Number 13 on my list on ways to build and nurture self-confidence is to be grateful. Being grateful for what you have in life and for what people you are connected with, what they have done for you and what you have done for them has the power to boost your self-confidence drastically. Those of you listening more avidly to this podcast know that I keep a journal of being grateful every evening. And I invite you to start tonight by writing down 3 things that you are grateful for what happened today. And if you are willing, please feel free to share those 3 things with the community. Let me and let us know what is the 3 things at least that you are grateful for today. And I'm already looking forward to hearing from you. Number 14, again, a very obvious one, is exercise. Having an exercise routine will help you to boost your self-confidence tremendously. It doesn't have to be going to the gym 3 hours every day. It doesn't have to be going for long runs and a fast pace every day. This is not what I'm saying. But if you for yourself exercise and if you for yourself implement habits of exercising, it will help you with your self-confidence a lot. Again, you can start small. You can start with small walks. You can start with small runs. Find a sport, find an activity that suits you well, that gives you pleasure and fun, and then exercise. Exercise regularly, and you will feel a boost of self-confidence, most likely. And the nice side benefit is that you will live a more healthy and most likely a longer life by doing exercise more regularly. And something you can also do more regularly if you're not doing it already is to sleep well. How important is good sleep for you? We just had another podcast episode on sleep, understanding your chronotype and knowing your circadian clock, and why it's so important to get sleep at the right time of the night for yourself. Question yourself, how important is sleep for you? Well, getting a good night's sleep will also help you to boost your self-confidence, because it will help you to wake up more rested and more ready for the day, less stressed and more active. And after all, if you're more active, if you're more relaxed, you are more likely to achieve the things that you set for yourself for the day, for the week, or even for the year. So get a good night's sleep and rest your body well. Your body will thank you, not only tomorrow, but also in 10 years from now. And the final, and probably one of the most important ways on how to build and nurture self-confidence is to seek to help other people. So I really encourage you to find a way to make helping others part of your daily or your weekly routine. You can volunteer, you can do something in the household, or you can assist a friend or a family member with doing something. It can be anything and it can be small things. But helping others has a tremendous effect on your self-confidence. The act of helping others will not only benefit others, but it will also boost your self-confidence because you experience, because you see that you have so much to give that other people can benefit from. And because you will see that you have so much to offer. And that was quite a few ways to build and nurture self-confidence. And I want to sum up this conversation, this podcast episode, with two more things before there's a few questions for you as an audience. And that's for me the importance and the power of having a support but also a challenger network. What is a support network? Find friends who encourage you to be yourself and who love and support you the way you are. And find colleagues who are on your team and who want to achieve things together. And don't focus on the naysayers and the people who don't want to move forward in life, personally and professionally. Having a good support network will really benefit you, because only if you are yourself, you can work on yourself. But for me, it's also important to have a challenger network. And by that, I mean having the ability to change your assumptions every now and then, and to be able to rethink your position on different topics of life. It also includes not only surrounding yourself with people who share the same values, standards, and beliefs, but also to incorporate the ideas, the thoughts, and the ways of thinking of people whom you do not share all your values with. So I invite you to broaden your horizon by actively engaging with people whom you do not share your values and beliefs with, and to discuss topics that you are passionate about, and to discuss topics that you have some personal experience that you want to share. But share personal experience and do not share opinions. Discuss and discuss in a nice manner. This will help you not to live in your own small bubble, and this will help you to live a more meaningful and more exciting life. And with that, I hope that this episode gives you some value, and it hopefully outlined a few ways to build and nurture self-confidence that you hadn't heard about before. And again, I'm super thankful for your feedback, so please let me know how you liked the episode. Please let me know if you take value from it. And with that, I want to ask you a few questions. The first one would be, what are the areas of life that you feel very self-confident about? What are areas that you would like to become more confident? And how do you want to approach them? Which resources do you use to become more knowledgeable on a certain topic of life? And how do you use them? Who is part of your support network? And do you have a challenger network? What topics do you discuss with them? What is the habit that you want to implement after today's episode in order to gain more self-confidence? Please share your habit as an inspiration for others by leaving a quick comment and telling us what you will work on. And finally, how are you incorporating helping others into your weekly routine? What do you do to help others around you? If you enjoy and learn from the Just Another Mindset podcast, please make sure to share this episode with a friend or two and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And if you want to receive a brief overview of what made me think over the past week and join like-minded individuals, you may want to sign up to my weekly newsletter. It is easy to sign up. It is super easy to unsubscribe again. You will get information on the newest podcast episode, and you will also get an overview of the content, books, and podcasts mainly, that I am consuming, and I evaluate what I've learned over the past week. You will also get your weekly dose of optimism, because you will receive the Smile News with 7 things that went right this week. And finally, you will get access to all my speaker notes that you can use to follow exercises and answer questions discussed in the podcast. Just follow the link in my bio to sign up for my newsletter, and I'm already excited to see you on the other side. If there is any future topic or guest that you would like to hear more about on the Just Another Mindset podcast, please let me know by leaving a comment on YouTube or sending a mail directly to contact@ismaelwondergarten.com. And if nobody told you lately, be reminded that you are worthy, you matter, and you can achieve anything.